Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. I have my little Books Are Portable Magic glass mug with a apple crisp macchiato. It's lovely. And I apologize in advance for the lighting. It's been gross all day. And for my voice, because I have just been getting over like basically a week of being sick. It was great. It was fun times. Oh, and I also wanted to show you guys my new tattoo. It's a little more healed now. It says, "Don't let the hard days win." It has some mountains and stars. I don't have to tell you what that's from, but it's also just, the quote has always been really important to me. Before I even read the books, I heard that quote and I loved it. So the quote has always been really important to me and means a lot to me in a lot of different reasons that are very personal and very difficult. And it's been very encouraging for me. But, new tattoo, yay. So today's video is going to be my August reading wrap up. Today is August 31st, and I am like an hour away from finishing A Flame Like Silver, Song Like Night. So I technically haven't finished it yet, but I'm convinced I'm gonna finish it today. So what I might do is put in a clip of me later finishing it, because I couldn't waste an hour and then film. Like, I needed to get other stuff done. So if I finish it today, I will insert a clip that said that I finished it and give you maybe some thoughts on it. But let's get into the books that I did read in August. August slipped away like a bottle of wine, 'cause you were never mine. So the first book that I read in August, that I was kind of like finishing from July, was Good Boundaries and Goodbyes, Loving Others Without Losing the Best of Who You Are by Lisa TerKeurst. We know that I've been on a nonfiction kick, and especially Lisa TerKeurst, because it's just been very life-giving for me with what I've been going through and just different stuff. And I really related to one of her books, and so I was just kind of like slowly devouring a lot of her books. And I read this one also. Like I've mentioned before when I've done nonfiction reviews, I don't like rating them. It just feels weird. I don't really know why, it just does to me, so I don't rate them, but I'll give you like thoughts on them. The book was constructed well and has a lot of important things for Christians to think through. I think whether it's boundaries in marriage and friendship and family, or just life in general. I also liked that she had a counselor, like a licensed counselor, therapist, chiming in each chapter of like important things to remember, like as you're going through different things or handling situations with different types of people or whatever. I like that he was able to give his like professional opinion at the end of the chapters. That was really cool too, and very helpful. There's also a section in the book about verses that are used to weaponize against people unjustly, and like goes through them. And I think that was also very helpful, because I think a lot of hurt that can come from the church or Christianity is when people use verses when you're saying things like, look, I'm going through a hard time and I need to step away from this responsibility. I need to have some boundaries because I'm overcommitted, doing too much, whatever it looks like in your life. But like, you'll present a thing that you're trying to do to be healthy and to be like a good and healthy person, to have boundaries, things that you need to care for yourself. And then somebody will be like, well, you know, this verse, and it's used out of context and it's not helpful and it's very harmful. So I did like that they straight up were like, if somebody does this to you, like, this is how you can respond, and it like gives you the context of the verse and saying like, this isn't what this actually means. So I think if you've been hurt by that, that would be kind of refreshing for you to see. I will say that if this is something you are looking for, like if you've looked up the synopsis of this book and what it's for, I would recommend that you read it and you do not listen to it, because I listened to it, and a lot of times when I'm doing that, I'm on the go, I'm like doing stuff. And there are a lot of journaling prompts and things for self-reflection that are very good and very healthy, and I think would have been very beneficial, and a lot of questions to like really sit with and process. And I didn't feel like I could do that as well listening to the book. Doesn't mean it wasn't helpful, it doesn't mean it isn't good, but I'm just saying, like, in the best case scenario, you should probably physically read this and really, really take your time processing through things instead of listening to it and then skipping to the next thing, you know what I mean? But overall, I do think it was good and enjoyable. I think her books so far have been pretty helpful, and if not helpful, just like relatable and makes you feel understood. So I read that. The next book that I was able to read was Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. Again, I have that copy of it upstairs, but this is book 1 in the Crimson Moth duology. I think it's a duology. And this book was good. I think I had higher expectations of the book than it gave me, but I did like it. It wasn't earth-shattering, but it was enjoyable. Kind of in a witch hunter, witch, enemies to lovers sort of situation, but it's kind of like fake dating as well. They're like both dating each other fakely, kind of, to try to get information out of each other, because he thinks she's this witch he's been hunting, and she thinks that because he's part of the witch hunter guild, this like soldier, that she can get information from him and free witches. So they're both kind of like needling each other, trying to get information. So it was good, enjoyable. I think the issue for me, mostly, and why I didn't love this, was the pacing. There was just something about it which was off for me, and how the plot was moved forward with the relationships. I just felt like there was something, it felt like when the plot moved forward, it was like forced or too fast or something. There was something about it that was off to me, and I just was like, we're here already? Is kind of how it felt. It may not have felt that way for anyone else, but it did for me. But I liked the magic, and I liked the witch aspects and the witch hunter aspects. Both of those things were very interesting and done pretty well. One of the twists I think I figured out fairly early on, maybe not super early on, but like pretty early on. Overall interesting. I think I'm going to continue the story for sure, but just good. I gave it 4 stars. That was also kind of the first fantasy that I was able to like get into and finish since my slump, so that could affect this. I don't know, but there you have it. And then I finished Winning the Worry Battle: Life Lessons from the Book of Joshua by Barb Roos. This book was really good. I feel like for this one, the start of it wasn't as intriguing or grabbing for me as the rest of the book. I feel like the more I got into it, the more I related to it, and the more I really appreciated what she was doing with the direction of the book and Joshua's, and linking everything to Joshua's story. This book was relatable, and I liked a lot of the parallel of going through Joshua's story throughout, because he's a warrior. He did a lot of amazing big faith step type of things, but he also messed up. He also did things wrong, as we all do. I apologize. I had to get a cough drop because I could not stop coughing. So I'm gonna have this in my mouth, moving right along. I liked the tools that she recommends to deal with worry and panic. I think they're helpful, and at first I was like, oh, okay. But like as you implement them and would like work with them, I could see how they would be beneficial. So I did really enjoy that book. Next I read, I have a copy of this now because my Fairy Loot edition came. Beneath These Cursed Stars by Lexi Ryan. This is the beautiful Fairy Loot edition that matches my Fairy Loot editions of the other 2 books in this series. In the first duology anyway. And I'm not going to get into this too much because I did do a whole review video on this. But I read this. I liked it. I didn't love it. The book was okay. I felt it kind of hard to get into at first. As the story progressed, it was pretty good. Cliffhanger is concerning as always, right? Didn't like it as much as the first duology, but I did give it 3 stars, and I will continue the duology or series or whatever this is. Next, I also read Tired of Trying by Ashley Morgan Jackson, and I picked this up kind of on a whim because it sounded like something that would relate to me a lot in what I've been going through, and I'm so glad I did because this book was really good. It's very raw, and it doesn't hold punches, and that's what I needed. I needed it to be raw and honest. The rest of the title says, How to Hold On to God When You're Frustrated, Fed Up, and Feeling Forgotten. And the back says, what if that hard thing you're going through is not happening to you, but for you? And it talks about, like, you've tried it all, saying the right words, praying the right prayers, reading the right verses. What do you do when your faith doesn't seem to be working anymore? And choosing to wrestle isn't easy or quick, but it does have purpose, and we can hold tight because transformation and blessings will come. And I just really appreciated this author being so real in her writing. Like, she talks about having mental breakdowns and not knowing what to do, and like literally becoming so overstimulated and overwhelmed that she gets out of the car and just like runs down the street, and her family's upset with her, and she's like, I can't deal with this, like I am freaking out, and not knowing what to do because she can't control it. She's like literally like grasping at straws, at rock bottom, doesn't know how to get herself out of this emotional turmoil, this situation that she's feeling, like none of it. So like I said, this book is raw, it didn't hold punches, and I really appreciated that about this. It made me feel seen in ways that others seem hesitant to voice, because you don't want to admit that you're weak. You don't want to admit that you're having a mental breakdown, you know? You don't want to admit that you're struggling that much. So I felt really seen, and I really appreciated that she went there and she talked about it. I cried many times reading this book because I felt I felt like the author had felt. And so when somebody speaks kind of what you're feeling, it's very cathartic, it's very emotional, it's good, it's painful, like there's just so many things wrapped up in that. And I was wrestling with God and asking the same questions that she was. And so it was just good to be able to walk through that journey with somebody and to feel like somebody gets it. I found this helpful and at the very least cathartic. I liked the comparison between Jacob and his wrestle with God. I also thought that was done really well. So if you look at the synopsis, you hear what I'm talking about and you feel like this is something you should read and it's kind of resonating with you, you think, that sounds like something I would enjoy, do it, read it. I was a little bit hesitant for no reason, just like, I don't know, I just don't know. It was so good. I listened to this and I ended up going out and buying a copy and like underlining some stuff because I really appreciated what she did with this. And I have a copy of it now. I'm happy I do. Really good book. At least for me, it was like what I needed in the moment. It was what I needed at that time. God knew that. It was great. It was great. Good book. Next, a hard turn into fantasy again. I read Apprentice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Maher. This was one of my most anticipated releases of the year. I had to wait for the audiobook. Well, I didn't have to, but I waited for the audiobook to come out, which came out like 2 or 3 weeks later than the book released. And that annoyed the crap out of me, but it was worth it. Because I got to listen to it, which means I got to finish it a lot faster. And I loved it. It was so good. It was a sequel to Assistant to the Villain. I loved that book. I love this book. I think I liked this one more, surprisingly. I gave this 4.5 stars. Very good. Still has a lot of the humorous elements that we know and love. Things are getting complicated. I like how the story is unfolding. I can't say a lot because it's a second book, you know, but you're getting more and more of the characters and the side characters. And more characters have their own secrets, which is fun. And you're kind of like getting reveals or getting hints, and it was good. The threat is looming and also upon them a little bit. And while the humor and the light elements, the like light funny elements are still absolutely there, you can feel the story getting more serious and darker and a lot of things kind of boiling and bubbling to the surface. And I think things are absolutely going to come to a head in the third book, and I'm excited to see what she does with it. I think it's just going to be a trilogy, but I don't actually know. And I think one of the brilliances of this series and what I really like about it is that I really enjoy the fantasy / fairy tale element mixed with the office setting. I just think it's so funny and so unique and brilliant. It's just really funny and enjoyable to me. Because, you know, it's like the villain fighting the kingdom and he has his like henchman, but she's like, here's your cauldron brew, sir. And it's his cup of coffee in the morning. I love it. I think it's so funny. And there's like Becky from HR. I really like this. If you like light humorous fantasies that have like some plot, definitely some plot and like stuff going on in the story, it's gonna be 3 books or whatever, I think you should read this because it's funny, just good. I really like it. I know some people didn't love the first book. I did. I liked this one probably more. I've really enjoyed this series and I will continue to read it. It's so funny. Hopefully the third book wraps up well and has a really good conclusion, because that could be sad if it flops a little bit. But I'm excited. Loved it. Gonna continue reading what she writes because it's really good. Well, those are all the books that I've read thus far. Like I said, I'm like this close of finishing Song of Silver, Flame Like Night. So stay tuned. I'll probably have a clip in here. But if not, those are the books that I read in August. Hello, okay, future me is back. I did finish Song of Silver, Flame Like Night by Emily Wen Zhao. This is in my Buzzword Book Challenge, and I really liked it. I thought it was really good. I gave it 4 stars. I am glad it's just a duology because then I can finish it sooner because I already have book 2. But this book was good. It did take me a minute to get into, and I think part of that and part of my enjoyment was affected because I was sick when I started this. And so I was falling asleep a lot on and off all the time. And therefore I had to pause the audiobook, pick it back up later, pause it, pick it back up, like doing that kind of stuff for a while. And so it would take me a minute to be like, where was I? And like my brain was foggy. So I think that affected it a little bit, but not to say I didn't enjoy it. I think it was just like affecting my reading experience. But the magic system between the like good and evil presences, if you will, was really interesting. That like chi and powers that they could harness in this like magical school, because there is a magical school element, And then these like demon gods, which are like these guys around the corners or around the edges of the book, the demon gods that you can harness, but you're not supposed to because it's like a dark magic kind of thing. And then the Atlanteans, the like evil forces, this like evil army that like invaded them, destroyed them, trying to destroy the remnants of this magic system, belief system, have this like, I apologize for the air conditioning, have this like metal magic, which is really interesting. And they can wield the metal magic in a lot of different ways. Like they ended up, I don't remember exactly how it happened, but they put it in a character's arm and it's like slowly poisoning her, but it's also a tracking spell. It was really interesting. I really enjoyed like the metal magic system, the other magic system that she and the demon gods, all really cool and pretty well done. There are some moments where you're like, no, how could this happen? You know, those kinds of things. So I am looking forward to book 2 and seeing what happened. And the story had enough fast-paced action and high stakes that it keeps the story moving. It keeps you interested in what's going on. There's not a lot of lulls in the story, maybe except for the beginning when it's just like building the story as is normal. But I think it keeps you pretty engaged throughout the whole story. And I liked it, and I'm very much looking forward to continuing and seeing what happens and how it all wraps up. And I think book 2 is shorter, which gives me some hope that we'll have some answers quickly. But yeah, I just wanted to sneak this in there as future Katie did finish this book. Bye. Please comment down below and let me know what your favorite read in August was. But for now, that is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.